Welcome to another edition of the Worthy of Millions Masterclass Live. My name is Spencer Iverson, the founder of the Worthy of Millions Masterclass, America's fastest growing personal development masterclass community. Really thrilled about that. We got started a little bit over a year ago, and I'll tell you more in detail about the masterclass program, the masterclass community, what it offers, and how you can benefit from it. What I do, though, is starting this year, I wanted to give people who are not masterclass clients an opportunity to have a sneak peek, look behind the curtains at what we do in this masterclass space in this community. And I would have special guests from my personal Rolodex who I've either worked with or interacted with, or people who I've admired in business and personal development. And I would have them guest starring or serving as guest presenters in the masterclass space. And I would open it up so everyone could get a chance to see and to hear what you may be missing in your life from the perspective of personal self-development. And this session tonight is no exception. I have the privilege of introducing someone to the session who, and no disrespect to any of my other guests, no disrespect at all to any of my other guests, but this person has had the single most impactful role in my professional life, like ever. Now, he's heard me say that several times, so I'm not saying that because he happens to be here. This gentleman was the very first person to introduce me to the very concept of personal self-development. He was the first person who introduced me to the home-based business industry. And as I shared with my masterclass clients on last week, he is the gentleman who was my first professional mentor. So when I called this gentleman and asked him would he be available, he's obviously always busy, as successful entrepreneurs are. Couldn't do it last week, so he was able to work us in on tonight. And let me give you a little bit about his background. This gentleman has been an entrepreneur, a seven-figure earning entrepreneur for a number of years. He is an author. He is a worldwide speaker. Well, I should say he's a best-selling author. He has mentored and coached hundreds of thousands of people, not hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of thousands of people around the world. He has spoken in several continents around the world. He's been in magazines, television shows, radio programs, you name it. He's an elder at the Renaissance Church of Christ, where we worship. Our sons are literally brothers, like they were born 6 days apart, Brandon Iverson and Jordan Williams. This gentleman has a professional certification from the International Coaching Federation. He has had a branding and marketing agency that literally he consults even today with Fortune 500 companies from around the world. His resume continues to go on and on. And you all have heard me say this, my masterclass clients, one of the definitions for success in leadership that I've personally adopted in my entrepreneurship journey is not how well you do. It's not how well you do. Like individuals, a lot of times you can hit it big. It's, do you live a life of impact so that, yes, you've made it, but how many other people have made it because of you? And this gentleman's coaching tree and his coaching lineage reaches far and wide. Not only has he made millions, but he has helped several others like myself earn multiple seven figures during the course of our entrepreneurship journeys. I could go on, and I'm sure more will come to mind. I didn't even need his bio for that. That's how well I know this gentleman. So it is an absolute honor and a privilege on tonight to introduce to some and present to others Mr. Floyd Williams. I'm going to bring you back up and add you. There we go. I'm going to add you there. Fantastic. Floyd, there he is. Floyd, welcome to the Worthy of Millions Masterclass Live, man. I've had people texting me and emailing me about how excited they are to see you and to have you in this space and hear from you on tonight. So, brother, first of all, thank you for making time for us and welcome to the platform.
Well, thank you so much, Spencer. Let me just say one thing to all the audience here. You are my spiritual brother for life, and love you to death. And also, I am so proud of you, what you're doing. I watch you from afar, and you have this spirit that is this unquenchable as it relates to trying to not only have success for yourself, but to create this environment for success for everyone else you touch. And I admire that. So thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Listen, guys, I want y'all to relax because we're going to have a great time on tonight. We're going to share with you some amazing stories. Because again, it's like I was like a kid. I was like a kid waiting for Christmas. I couldn't wait for today to come because if you know anything about me, you're seeing the man, outside of my dad, and Floyd's like my big brother, who just showed me, who helped me get my knuckleheaded self professionally on track. And so Floyd, don't tell him everything you know about me. I got some people who still respect me, so don't tell everything.
We'll leave the rest for the next book we're gonna read, okay?
Right. So I want to get started here. We had a little pre-production call, and if you hear me losing my voice, this changing in the weather is getting to me a little bit with the pollen and whatnot. But Floyd, let's lay a foundation for somebody who doesn't know Floyd Williams, who is not familiar with you personally or professionally, so that they can have an appreciation for where you've been and then ultimately where you are. Take us through some of your background, how you grew up, brothers and sisters, let's go to college, things like that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Spencer. So I will start with I came to Atlanta from South Carolina. I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina. Have two brothers, no sisters, but we grew up together. Just running around, that area up and down the street, Spencer, and get into trouble. And we all went to school. We all graduated from college. I went to South Carolina State eventually first, and then transferred to SCAD. Savannah College of Art and Design in Atlanta, where I got my degree in advertising and marketing. And then I set off to start my career in advertising. And I worked on the creative side. I was an art director and a creative director for ad agencies. And I really enjoyed that, and I learned a lot. And then I eventually went from creative to running my own ad agency, Williams Advertising. I was one of the two major small Black-owned agencies in Atlanta. And I say that very humbly, but that's true. And we worked with Coca-Cola and Prudential, American Express, all those companies. You remember that, I think, because you came to my office several times, many times when I had my agency. And I really enjoyed that. It was exciting. And I learned a lot about the corporate side of business, because when I started running my agency, I moved from just focusing on creative to really the corporate side, getting the business, acquiring the business, sitting in the room with C-suite executives and trying to brand companies and bring companies' products and services to the marketplace. And that was really great. I really learned the art of the deal there. And I was passionate about the business part more so than the creative part. And I decided to make a shift and change after 16 years of being in that industry. And we'll talk about that later. I won't get into why I changed, but I made a whole different career change. And I moved into banking and finance, partly because one of my clients was a banker. He was a mortgage banker, and I saw his lifestyle. And Spencer, you can appreciate this example or this story. One of our favorite movies is Pursuit of Happiness, right?
Yes, sir.
And you remember the scene where he comes to this building. He sees this guy getting out of a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever it was.
It was a Ferrari.
All right. And he says, "Hey, what do you do and how do you do it?" Yeah. Well, that's what I asked my client when I saw how his lifestyle was manifesting. I wanted to know what he did and how he did it, and he told me. And I said, I'm going to leave this industry and I'm going to pursue another level of success. And then I got involved in banking and finance on the corporate side. And that's where my corporate career really started to blossom. And I was a manager, and then I was a regional manager for the whole district of Atlanta for Georgia in the banking and finance, and learned a whole lot about corporate and corporate culture. And I went from there to work with another company as a regional branch manager in Atlanta until I think I got my chops to the point where I thought I could run my own business, and I did. We started our own mortgage banking company, my wife and I. It was very successful. Unbeknownst to a lot of people, Spencer, it was very successful. Okay. And we had a great time, a great career, and we brought a lot of people into that space who actually made a lot of money with us, loan officers. And that was interrupted by a direct selling space, where we actually, transitioned from, the banking, the finance, the mortgage business to direct sales, and made, substantial money, as you know.
Yep.
The common thread, though, I'll kind of put it all together in a little poll. The common thread of all those experiences was I really enjoyed leading people and personal development and coaching people and helping people develop. That was my passion. That was always my passion. And then I decided to go ahead and get credentialed. I had, like you said, I've been coaching for 40 years, probably 30 years, 35 years, but I didn't have the credentials that I needed to go into the executive space and say, I am a subject matter expert in this area. And so I went back to get a master's degree in organizational development and executive coaching.
Wow.
And when I did that, I got that certification that you mentioned, which is the highest certification you can get in executive coaching. There's none higher than that.
Wow.
It cost me a lot of money to do all of that, right? But it was worth it. And that's how I was able to start my company 10 years ago. It's been 10 years since I started Leadership Partner Group. Okay. And now our clients are Microsoft, Google, Warner Brothers, Delta, some of the 100 Fortune companies, because they all use executive coaches, all of them.
Okay.
And I'm just in business heaven. This is my space. You know, I love leadership.
Yes. Now,
so there's nothing else that I'm going to do ever.
Right. I want to pause real quick. I want to go back. A little bit, because I think in order for people to appreciate some of the information you're going to share on tonight about personal development, our stories intertwine so much, right? Because we're going to also talk about mentorship. And my first recollection of Floyd Williams was twofold. One was at church. He was a leader where we worshiped. And so I had respect for him as a leader at our church. Floyd is not just a person who talks the talk, he walks the walk. I'll get to that in a moment too, as we get into more stuff. But then, you know, I'm a 17, 18-year-old college student at Georgia Tech, and I had developed an idea to get patented called Sonoball. It was a basketball goal for the visually impaired. And so when I tell y'all I'm a nerd, I'm like a nerd. So I'm at Georgia Tech. Floyd remembers this. And I would go to Dr. Alvine's marketing class. Dr. Alvine taught at Harvard and Georgia Tech. And I would go there in a jogging suit, but I'd have my prototype of my basketball goal in a suit bag, because after class I would change into my suit, and sometimes I would go see Floyd, but other times I would walk across the street to the Atlanta Center for the Blind, and I would do tests to tweak my goal. I would do tests with the blind students who were there, who would use tweak the sounds and all this kind of stuff. And so I found out that Floyd had a marketing and branding agency. And so one day I'm at Georgia Tech and I walked across and he set an appointment and I met him. And Floyd, you remember this, I showed him my basketball goal. It's called Sonoball. It's a combination between sonar and ball. And the reason I wanted to share that story with you all is because I didn't know it at the time that I needed it or even wanted it. But that is where I developed my respect for who Floyd was as a professional. You see, never have a mentor or a coach you're not willing to trade places with. And Floyd had the office. Also, Floyd's being very humble. He's an amazing artist. Oh my gosh. He is. Some of you all recently saw some sketches I posted on social media. Floyd is an artist's artist. I mean, paint, draw, sketch, you name it, all types of disciplines. And so I employed Floyd's help to help me market and brand my basketball goal. And that's where I think our personal and professional relationship developed. Now, here's something else that we may not have been able to talk about until now, which is this. You all have heard me say in times past that whenever I'm interviewing people as employees for my company, one of the questions I ask is, have you played sports? And if you answer no to that question, I can literally name maybe one person I've ever hired who said they've never played sports before. But that person has such a unique skill set. I had to have them, Floyd. Here's why that question is important to me. Because if you don't have no fear of losing, we can't work together. If losing don't bother you, we can't work together. and when you play sports, you're competitive. Losing bothers you or should bother you. So the other area that Floyd and I developed a great relationship was on the basketball court. Because let me tell you something, Floyd Williams can hoop. Don't let that smooth taste fool you now.
Likewise. Same
Floyd,
here. Same with
hey,
him. Yeah.
Floyd can hoop, man. And we had some battles, like drawing blood
Voracious.
battles on the back.
Voracious. Yeah.
But here's the thing, guys, listen. It's where respect grew. Floyd didn't
Yeah.
like to lose. And guess what? When we were on opposite teams, I didn't like to lose. So guess what was going to happen? Somebody was going to lose, right? And
Yes.
so I respected the fact that this man, yes, he's a church leader. Yes, he's a businessman. But when we get on that basketball court and we hooping,
Yeah.
listen, Floyd gonna listen. Floyd elbow you in the mouth. Floyd, he'll drive through your chest, right? My point is, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, and my respect for him grew even more. So I just wanted to lay that additional foundation so you all can see that it wasn't just, oh man, he introduced me to the home-based business industry. Hey, coach me. No. There are a lot of people who were hitting me up at that point in my life, Floyd, about the home-based business industry. But it was Floyd Williams who had earned my respect to where I could appreciate, where he was and where he could help me get. So I want to lay that foundation. Now, okay, so Floyd, let's transition to, you get involved in the home-based business space. Mm-hmm. You make tons of money. What was it like during that time? We came up and we even said it at the time, during what we call the golden era of the home-based business industry. Why? Because there were about 8 to 10 companies around the world who were all hitting at the same time. We happen to be a part of one of them. We built a massively large team. But what talk about, the things that you learned, things that you saw, the lives you were able to impact, and what were some of your takeaways from when you kind of got into that industry?
Yeah, that's a good segue, because when we entered that industry, Spencer, when I entered the industry, the industry wasn't as saturated as it is now. That direct selling space had sort of like a stigma, but people were starting realizing that, hey, this is a legitimate form of distribution. That's really what it is. We're distributing products or services more efficiently than the way I used to get Coca-Cola distributed, by putting up some billboards all over the country and spending millions of dollars on radio spots and TV commercials. Well, the direct sales industry disrupted that, right? And these new category creators were coming into the space. Coffee, travel. They had never seen any of these products and services distributed with that system, with those distribution channels and systems. So when we came in, I was excited about it because I had experience in marketing and advertising, and I knew about distribution. I knew what my clients had to do and the money they had to spend to create brand awareness, to create distribution channels, millions and millions of dollars. And this direct selling methodology was much more efficient, right? Much more efficient. So I embraced it because I knew what it was. I understand what, how to kind of, see the value in direct sales. And when we got involved, I had some skill set because I had been a student of personal development. As you said, the first direct sale company I joined was a direct sales, a personal development company, where we distributed products like CDs, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Og Mandino. That was the products, and that's how I got in. I wasn't really very much interested in the monetizing of the product. I wanted the product myself, so I could develop my agency and grow and develop. But serendipitous benefits happening where I started seeing the value of being in a business where you can scale it up without spending a lot of money and be able to do it more efficient without a lot of liability. And my little part-time hobby became into a full-time venture for years. And it translated into millions of dollars, as you said. I had no idea that was going to happen. I really didn't, because I didn't understand the industry. But over the years, I got so much benefit, not only from that space personally, but we got so much benefit, as you talked about, from seeing other people's lives change and transform into lifestyles they never imagined, and probably couldn't have acquired if they didn't have a vehicle like the ones that we and I had to do that, right? So
let's delve into that, because so much of our identity, fortunately or unfortunately, happened in that space, right? And we have a lot of people on the line tonight who know us from that space and some of the things we were blessed to be able to do. Talk about the importance that personal development. These are things that Floyd taught me, because every company has a comp plan, right? Every company has a product or service, and again, back up a little bit. Floyd was probably, he's heard me say this a million times. Floyd was probably the only person who could get me into the home-based business industry because of my respect for him. Understand, at the time that I got involved in the home-based business industry, I was an attorney. I was working at a law firm, Chambers, Maple, McClellan, and Brooks. I was wearing tailored suits. Man, I was representing pro athletes. Man, I was doing my thing. And people come up to me, man, if you don't like toothpaste, I got legal service. You don't like legal service, I got mouthwash. I'm like, what, dude? Oh my gosh, man. And so one day Floyd came up to me at church and was like, man, I got involved in the project. Well, this was another one, but we got involved in a couple of projects, right? Yeah. But they all made sense. Like I was traveling a lot, and you had a company that you had gotten involved in that did DVDs. Well, all of my athletes at the time were watching DVDs on their planes, going to the games, from city to city. Made sense. But then we got involved in this travel game, and you just came up one day and was like, hey man, I'm involved in a project that's saving me on my travel. You travel a lot. You should join. I said, how much is it? Got started. I really had no idea it was like network marketing, home-based business. I was looking for ways to save money on my travel. Here's what I appreciated about Floyd. Floyd treated everything like it was a business. Right. It wasn't a hustle. It wasn't. It was a business. And I ran a business. I ran my own business. And so he mentored me. And yes, it is the home-based business industry. Yes, it's network marketing, but it's no less of a business. So with that foundation, Floyd, talk about the importance, because it became a separator. The things you were trying to teach people about personal development, some people were just into the comp plan. They were just in sales. That's just one part of it. So talk about the importance of leadership development, mindset development, as it relates to having ultimate success in an industry like that and others.
Yeah, and I was on that trajectory before I got involved in direct sales, because I told you the first business that I looked at in the direct sales space was a business that promoted personal development.
Right.
I wanted that, Spencer, so I could develop my business. And I felt the point of constraint for me in my business was that I needed to work on me and become a better leader and a better business person and and increase my acumen. So I was looking for tools to do that. And it just so happened that a direct sales company provided those tools. And so it opened up a whole different level of awareness about personal development for me too, where, wow, I really need to work on my business acumen. I need to work on my leadership skills. I need to work on my emotional intelligence and all those things, and learn how to really navigate in the business arena. And I was doing that. And because I was spending years and years in personal development for my business and running businesses, when I came into that direct sales space, it was the same, right? I was still developing a business inside of a business, right? And I still felt that I was the CEO of my own business, right? And I still felt that I need to work on all the systems that I need to work on when I have my ad agency, my mortgage company, in those direct sales businesses. So I never changed my methodology of scaling up, even though the process is that you start with one person that you talk to and refer and start building this distribution channel. It was the same. It translated the same as it did when I was in the business arena and scaling my mortgage business. I was doing the same things, some of the same skill sets. I had to learn how to deal with different people. I had to learn how to manage my time. I had to learn how to market. I had to learn how to strategically plan out how I was going to increase my territory,
right,
and take territory over. All those things, those are the things that executives do in companies, right? So it's really no difference. But most people, like you said, they treat those businesses like that as a hustle.
Yeah.
And I feel if I was going to spend my time and energy in that space, I need to make sure that I take it seriously so I can get my a proper ROI on the time and energy that I spend.
Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. That's it. I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. You make an important point, because it brought me to remember also, Floyd, two things. One, every time I got in your car, you had CDs and tapes everywhere. We're dating ourselves.
Yeah.
back in our day, there were things called cassettes, and they had spindles on them, and you would put it in a so right. They don't have those anymore, right? But Floyd would have cassettes and
Yeah.
CDs all over the car, and it was
Yeah.
always personal development information,
Yeah.
motivational speakers, Les Brown, Brian Tracy,
Yeah.
Nightingale. It was just over and over and over again. So I want you to talk about space repetition in Drive Time University. Very rarely would you get in the car and hear Run DMC or the Fat Boys or whoever was hot at the time. It was always constant personal development. And then the
Yeah.
second thing is that when I observed Floyd, he was almost always in a suit. If he wasn't in a suit, he was in a jacket and some slacks with a nice shirt on. He was holding himself out as a professional. And
Yeah.
these are things that I observed quietly. Because if
Right.
I was going to get involved with anybody in a business, our business energy had to match. And Floyd always held himself out as a business person. He had an attaché, he had a portfolio. He would open it up and go to work with the information for that particular company. I'm looking at him like, yo, man, that's like me preparing for a case, man. I can rock with this, man. So Floyd, let's go back to Drive Time University and the importance that you found in creating an environment where you're constantly and consistently inundating yourself with positive information, affirmations, and motivational material.
Yeah. And when you say those things and you talk to this audience about those type of things that Drive Time University concept, he's not joking. If you ever got in my car, you would see CDs and tapes everywhere. And today, that's still the case. But it's not CDs anymore. I'm looking at my phone when you talk to me about it because it's now on Audible, right?
Yeah.
I've got, Design to Scale. I've got Executive Presence. I've got Small Business Bible. I've got the Leadership Companion. I've got Coaching for Performance. I've got Executive Coaching with Backbone. I can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Because I still do that today because that's what got me here.
Yeah.
That's what got me the results that you were talking about. So that Drive Time University is something that really not only changed my life, but it changed my children's lives.
Yeah.
Spence, your son and my son are best friends.
Yep.
What they do. They're not sitting around playing hopscotch when they were kids. They had a business they were running, right? Why was that the case? Because when my son was 5 years old, guys, I'm not exaggerating, he was sitting on the floor watching that network that company had. I think it was 781, some sort of channel. You had to get it on Prime Star. And he was in diapers watching Agmendino, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, all those people. Now, he might not knew what they were saying, but he was watching it, and he got old enough to internalize this stuff. And now his business acumen is far superior than most people's at his age. And it was when your son too. Right. Their business acumen is, and when they were like 10, 11, was superior to most adults.
And watch this, and watch how it came full circle. They ultimately ended up on stage with Les Brown, right? With Tom Joyner Morning Show down in Orlando. But go ahead.
That's right, and that's right. And so when you talk about this Drive Time University, one thing that remind me of is an article I read about CEOs in major corporations, Fortune 100 companies, and it says the average CEO reads about 10 books per month. That's how they develop their business acumen. Imagine reading that many books per month every year for the last 10 years. Spencer, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been doing this, what you're talking about, for the last 30-something years, listening to CDs and books. And every time I talk with a client, we're talking about what are you reading? And sometimes I get tips from them, and I take it up and I go to Audible and I buy that book if it's a great book, because it expands my vision and my understanding about how the world works on a global scale and how business works, how corporations work. I feel like sometimes when I read and study some of these books, I'm walking inside of Google. I'm walking inside of Microsoft, because I now know the inner workings of those companies, because I've talked to some of the executives and they told me about things, and I go back and research. Wow. So learning to be a personal development junkie is so beneficial if you apply. If you apply it.
And that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to start the Worthy of Millions Masterclass and make it about personal development, because Floyd, what I saw was people, they keep investing in, I need more real estate, or I need, more Bitcoin, or I need to jump into another company, or no, this one didn't work out, I need to go to another company. And fail, 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 fail. And the one constant is you. It's you. You're spending money on everything but you. The average millionaire spends about 10% of what they earn each year on personal self-development, going to $50,000 mastermind conferences in the Bahamas. Why? Because they understand that iron sharpens iron. And we're looking for more things to throw our money at, but we're not. What's happening is we're not growing. And these are things that Floyd taught me. Spencer, you need to work on you. And Floyd, oh my God. Floyd was Floyd was probably the only person on planet Earth outside of my parents who could tell me about me. Right? And Floyd would, in his own way. Floyd would tell you, Spencer, you're this, you're that. Now, I could do one of two things. I could be like, man, have an attitude about it. Or I could be like, man, this man loves me. He wants to see the best for me. And I need to change, because it's hard for you to see you. Right? It's hard for you to see you. And then, Floyd, what would happen is, over time, as we were building organizations together, we would sit down sometimes with other people and like, man, has anybody told you about you? Now we'll volunteer, but you need to know about you. And that personal development, Floyd, that Drive Time universe. So I asked the audience, what are you listening to? When you get in your car, right? What's constantly going into your brain? What's constantly going into your mind? What are you feeding yourself? Because it can, I don't have cable anymore, Floyd. I don't.
Wow.
You know why? I don't watch the news.
That's awesome.
Man, we could be at war right now, like literally, and I wouldn't know it. You know why? Because I need to stay in a space that keeps me focused on my goals, Floyd. And I know that's the same, for you. And so now, Floyd, I got several topics I want us to get to in the time that's remaining. We did very well in that one company, right? We did several, but in that we just, I don't think a lot of people call us pioneers, because we did some things at that time that were never seen before. Honestly, there were conventions, Floyd, where we were speaking in front of 20,000 people at Ram Stadium. There were conventions, Floyd, where we had a presentation. It was the Eye of the Tiger training that we put together, where, Floyd, you remember, we had individuals who would sit in that auditorium, and it wasn't even our scheduled time yet, but they sat in that auditorium for 3 or 4 hours so they wouldn't have to leave, so they wouldn't have to give up their seat for when we came on. It was a line out the building. They had to. It was a conferences where we had to have, the only way we could move was we had to have 4 armed security people moving us from place to place, right? And it was just an insane time. So a couple of things. What I had to realize was that I was only one small piece of Floyd's huge empire. And when I discovered that, it hurt me for a hot second, because Floyd had been pouring so much into me. I became territorial. Like, no, I didn't want nobody else to. And I realized Floyd had other people, other legs of business he had to cultivate. And I would watch Floyd, freely make himself available to other people. And, this one young lady, I used to tell, she used to, she used to stalk you, right? Like literally, hey, Floyd, like city to city, and she represented another leg of business, but what she was wanting was Floyd's mentorship. And Floyd poured everything into that young lady. And guess what happened to that young lady? She went diamond, or the equivalent of diamond, because she applied herself and allowed herself to be coached and mentored. So Floyd, talk about, the role of a coach, the role of a mentor, and the role of a mentee. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and that's applicable in any organization, even today when I'm talking to corporate executives. Actually, Google has a program called the Mentorship Reimagined, and it's about taking the junior executive and partnering with a senior executive so they can actually be mentored. And there's nothing like that when you talk about, you know, giving opportunity for someone who's done that and got the T-shirt to really deposit this transference of knowledge into this budding person who has the potential, who has the desire and all the things that it takes to get to that next level, and put those two together. And Spencer, one of the things that you appreciate that I was very selective about who I mentored,
Oh my
right?
God.
And because what you're doing is you're depositing everything you have, and you're transferring that knowledge into people. It takes a lot of energy,
Yeah.
and you want it to be used wisely, and you want it to be effective. So I really have to throw it back to you and all the other leaders that work with me, because I don't think you can just say, I wouldn't be here talking to you if I hadn't intercepted people like you and some of the other leaders that you're talking about, because that is really what it's all about. It's about, you know, finding the right people. I think it was well, I think his name is Jim Collins. Jim Collins wrote the book Good to Great. You might have read that book. But he says, you know, when we talk about these great organizations and the success these organizations have had that are great organizations, those organizations have been intentional about putting the right people on the bus and get the right people off the bus. When you talk about leaders, I had the right people on the bus, Spencer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me. I don't take any credit for that, because it was just by providence and also me identifying people like you who have incredible talent, the it factor,
Thank
and
you.
saying, "Wow, this is who I need to build a team with," and spend my time and energy depositing that information into people. But iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So you gave a lot to me too,
Thank you.
because you and I are different personality types, and it worked.
Yeah.
You know, I was more of a relator type of person. You were a director. And really, sometimes when we get together and we see people who have deficiencies, I'm thinking it, but you'll say it.
And remember, we would have some times often,
And you get the bad rap for it. But you get the bad rap for it.
Floyd, you're probably better to go and say this to so and so. You're like, no, Smith, they need a more direct approach. You need to go.
So you get the bad rap for saying what I would say.
Right.
To you,
I'm like, Floyd told me to say this, man. Now I'm the bad guy in the company, right? So, but yeah, excuse me, you know, Floyd, you would have mentorship and coaching sessions with me, like remember at Waffle House, we would meet at Waffle House, and we would sit down, and you would go over that week's game plan, and you would tell me how many people I need to have in my organization, and you know, comp plan stuff. I was really just trying to learn how to navigate this thing. And this is what I've shared with people for years. It's just you happen to be on here now to hear it. But every time Floyd gave me a task or an assignment, I never showed up without having done what he asked me to do. You know why? Because I didn't want to lose his mentorship.
Yeah.
So when people ask me today, Mr. Iverson, will you mentor me? Will you coach? Oh, be careful what you ask for, because this is the man I learned it from. And I knew he had other people pulling for his attention. And we have people now, Floyd, who, you know, they show up late for calls.
Yeah.
You know, I asked them to do X, you know, it takes them days to get back with it. Man, if that was me with Floyd, Floyd has already taken his attention to somebody else. Floyd don't work with slow people. Yeah. When Floyd gives something to you, you need to get it done. Why? Because there's too many people who want his wisdom. And if you don't want it, that's okay. That's okay. And he approaches it differently. You'll never know, but he just moved on. And I didn't want to lose that. I needed that structure. I needed that professionalism. I needed his wisdom. And I didn't want to lose it, because I was putting my foot in Floyd Williams's footprint. Right. So Floyd, sometimes I guess my point is, you didn't wrestle with people who you were mentoring. If they didn't, you would say, look, they'll hang themselves with the rope, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That mentoree has to make themselves available and accessible, and they have to be really coachable, as you said, and really they have to be hungry. I mean, everyone that I worked with they were hungry for success, and they had skill sets like you that had nothing to do with me. you had that you had some skill set that you brought to the table that was unique and different. I was just a good, I was a good identifier of talent, Spencer. Like I said, this guy's talented, and there's some others I could name. And I was a talent scout as someone who wants to mentor someone who had potential. It's like being a scout, a football coach, or a football scout, or a baseball scout. If you've been doing that for years, you understand and can identify talent when you see it, right?
Yes.
And when you see the best talent, if you were out scouting for the next LeBron James, and you went to a basketball game, you saw someone on the floor who had LeBron James ability, you want that guy,
Right.
or that person. And that's all I was. I was a scout, and because of personal development, go back to that, I knew what to look for. If I had spent 20 years on personal development, I would never know what to look for.
Wow.
But I did know how to identify someone who had that, what we call the it factor.
Wow, that's right. Wow, Floyd. Okay. Which now leads me to another point, which is, and I can say this again with all sincerity and all honesty, I was never jealous of Floyd's success.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I was never, you know why? Because
Facts.
Floyd was coaching me so well that whenever Floyd hit a milestone, I knew that if I just did what he did, I would get what he got. Right. So when Floyd got his first black Mercedes Benz, and you remember that, man, I couldn't stop celebrating, because I'm like, okay, if I keep doing what he's telling me to do, then I can have a black Mercedes. And I wasn't even a Mercedes guy, right? And well, you remember, it was a CLS 500. You teach me how to how to visualize, and I cut it out, and I put it in my daily calendar. And every time I opened it, I would see this car. And eventually, Floyd got his a few months later. Guess what? I got mine. And then Floyd, man, built this mansion like in the Druid Hills area. And Floyd, I remember when they were clearing the land. Yeah. And they put the foundation down, and we're walking through it. You're like, man, this is where my theater is gonna go. This is where my and this is gonna be my office. Now he said, I want an open space so I can train other people and do more training. And I wasn't jealous. I was excited because I'm like, if Floyd is building his dream house, if I keep doing what he's doing, I'll have my dream house. A few months later, I lived 38 seconds. We built the house 38 seconds from Floyd's house, like literally, like it was across the street, right? But so my point is, guys, when you find the right mentor, when you find the right coach, right, it pays to be humble, to remove any spirit of jealousy, because they want the best for you. And Floyd, let's talk about humility. That was another characteristic, guys, that Floyd Williams has. When we left the one travel company, we became free agents, right? Mm-hmm. And we left there on principle, right? We left there on principle. And we knew God was going to take care of us somehow, some way. We had some pretty good ventures in between there. And we were fortunate enough to get a call from a company that flew us out on a private jet, us and our families. We landed in Tampa, walked into a Hummer limousine, drove to the CEO's house, went to the back of the house where there was a yacht waiting on us. And we signed at that point in time one of the biggest deals in home-based business industry history, a deal for $1.3 million each to just change companies. And Floyd, talk about the humility that it takes, one, when life doesn't go your way, when you feel that all is lost. That's one level of humility. But then there's another side where you seemingly have it all and you're on top of the mountain and you still have to remain humble. So talk about the dichotomy between whether you're abased or abound, and still how to maintain a spirit of humility, because at the end of the day, we understood that it was God who was blessing us and sustaining us. Yeah, I'm glad you made that last statement, because I have to get a little spiritual on that, because I do this workshop, and I'm doing one in March, and it's called financial stewardship, managing God's money. And I guess it's because of where you come from sometimes and where God brings you through. And in the book that we wrote, I talked about these defining moments of when God prepares you to be a greater steward of the things that he owns, because we own nothing. Right.
And I really believe that, Spencer. I've got a brand new Mercedes today, and I don't feel like it's not mine. I'm being a steward of what God blessed me with, right?
Mm, mm,
I really believe that, and I
yeah.
really live that. If you know me, I really live
Mhm.
that. But it's because God humbled me, and in the book I talked about when I was running my business, and when I was a young in my mid-20s, and we were broker than broke. My lovely, wonderful wife Carla has rocked with me. She's been ride or die. And
Yeah.
sometimes we ate, ramen noodles, and sometimes we couldn't even afford ramen noodles,
Yeah.
right? That kind of thing puts you in a place of humility, right? And I talked about the time where I worked little side jobs, and I worked as at Equifax as a collection agent, right? And I was working this night job trying to make ends meet, working collections. And one of the days I came in, they put up our names of the people we need to call in the queue. And when I was scrolling down to all the names, I saw the next name that I need to call, and it said Floyd Williams. It was me. Spencer, I had to call myself and say, look, let me tell you something. But we've called you 5 times, and we need that money. I did the best. I did the best routine that you could do because I had people watching me. They didn't see who I was calling, but I rate that person to the cold myself. And when I finished, I said, "Hey, you don't have to call this person again because I went in on them. I'm sure they're gonna pay." That's a humbling experience, man.
Yeah. Well, that story gets me every time. Well, that's
It's a
hilarious.
humbling experience, but God was preparing me
Yeah.
in a way that I could not imagine, because let's fast forward a few years later, and I'm living in the house you're talking about, and I had my kids in private school, and I'm living this dream that I didn't even have enough vision to stretch my imagination to that level of lifestyle that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get to a place where we were doing well, and when I had the mortgage company, we were doing very well.
Yeah.
And I didn't think there was nothing else higher than that, Spencer.
Yeah.
So to imagine to stretch to that level, before God put me through those rigors.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what, I don't know what I would have done in that success. I
Lloyd,
might have went crazy, So
Lloyd, that when we did that deal on that yacht that day,
yeah,
it was a 6-figure signing bonus. Like they said, when you sign,
right.
the next day there will be 6 figures in your account.
Multiple.
And we signed in like the next day, it was 6. And then our month for the next several months, the first of the month started off at 80,000 a month. Lloyd, you remember that? The first of the month started, listen, before comp plan stuff, the first of the month, boom, 80 grand. Not split. My 80, his 80, right?
Right.
But it was just a part of the journey of, and those of you, again, I know we have some people who jumped on late. Welcome to the Worthy Millions Masterclass live session. Super entrepreneur, amazing worldwide brander, motivational speaker, Floyd Williams with us today. Please take copious notes. We're going to give you an opportunity at the end to ask any questions. So please jot your questions down. I want you to pick his brain like I used to do, still do to this day. But Floyd, I believe, again, that even in the Worthy Millions Masterclass space, I let people know that every one of my modules and training have some tinge of spirituality.
Yeah.
I don't apologize for that, because you have to understand, for me, as I honor Floyd and watch Floyd, we understood that it was God working, whether we were with a great company and doing great or whether we were trying to figure things out. It was always God who was in control. And one of the other things, I'm kind of more talking about Floyd's character, I was able to watch. These were not things that Floyd had to announce, right? I knew his queen, Miss Carla. Again, as you all know, our kids are best friends and brothers to this day. They got amazing business going on in New York and all kinds of stuff, man. They're killing the game. And so these are things, I'm about to share some things with you that I watched in Floyd, and I'm not trying to embarrass him. These are just things I watched. I learned because in certain industries, it's easy to get, let me say it this way. The Bible says that it's easier for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven. Now, there have been a lot of ways that people have messed that scripture. Well, God don't want you to be rich. No, that's not what that scripture means.
No.
I believe what that scripture means is that God knows that if you're given everything and you've got all of the things financially that you need, you become more and more disassociated and distanced from your reliance on him. And so while we made lots of money, Floyd, I could see how people could get into the trappings that come with making and earning a lot of money. But here's what I loved about Floyd. Floyd's character is so high. See, there will be times in building organizations where, I had my suite, Floyd had his suite, so-and-so had their suite. And there would be, women, female-led teams and men-led teams. And women would say, Mr. Williams, can I get some time with you? Man, Floyd would never meet with a woman by herself, ever. Hey, Spence, I got a so-and-so coming to the room. Can you sit down? And for a second, I didn't really understand it. Okay, yeah, because personal business, but I had to learn what it looked like. I had to grow up and mature to imagine, because the devil works in all kinds of ways. And Floyd would just, his character, his walk, he would always reference his wife in conversations. So there would be no misunderstandings. You understand? Right. These are little things that I observed because in that space, in that industry at that time, it was all kind of shenanigans going on, Floyd. And so I made sure I stayed close to Floyd because he was not only walking the walk financially, he was not only walking the walk from a personal development standpoint, Floyd was walking the walk spiritually. And it helped me develop even more so morals and principles in business. Let's talk about that. It's great to be gifted at making money. It's great to even say you're in personal development, but talk about the morality and the character that also I think complements, or can complement your success.
And that's so huge. We could do a whole seminar on that. Morality and character. Someone gave me a list of some of the most successful men in modern contemporary era. When I say modern contemporary, I'm talking about from 1940s on up. Some of the most successful men, and I think there were like 20. I'm gonna get that list to you.
Okay.
But most of those people died broke or embarrassed. And some of the notable people that we know, we talk about these great people who changed the world because of their initiatives and bringing value to our modern world today. Were successful in some ways, but they were failures in other ways. And that's because of their lack of moral character and failure to hold to a standard that would sustain them in the spaces that they existed in. So you're right. I'm very transparent about that, Spencer.
Yeah.
I talk about that in men's classes that I teach, and I tell the stories that you're talking about. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
When you have that success, you can have anything you want. And I mean anything you want.
Bro.
And that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And so you have to draw a line in the sand and decide who you want to be in that success. Who you want. We've heard all these stories about these mega successful people lately and how things are coming out.
Yeah.
That could happen to anybody who has a level of success that's beyond most people's reach. And you become very popular with a lot of people and there's a lot of temptation. So yeah, I've always, said, look, I'm going to, and I told my wife, I said, we travel, we go out of the country, and there's a lot of things they're waiting. And I told her, there's nothing you can do about that. I just have to love God more than I love you. Because that's the only thing that's going to stop me from taking, a young lady and say, hey, nobody's here. We're in Bahamas. We're in Bermuda. Let's just make this a night to remember, and be like we're in Vegas. What happens here stays here. Yeah. But I've got to live with that.
Yeah.
I've got to live with that. And so those are kind of things, the decisions you make before success comes, because those things are going to come to you if you have the level of success that we're talking about and beyond. Not that we were billionaires, but that success,
Floyd, it was, some people have no idea, right? And guys, you're getting a sense of where I got my spiritual morality from my actual father who's a preacher. But I got my professional morality from Floyd Williams because I watched him do. Floyd, remember when we were in St. Louis, we were doing a conference And we had just finished speaking to tens of thousands of folks. It was bananas, right? And we had our security take us out. We got ahead of the crowd, and it was a beautiful day. And we decided to eat outside, right?
Yeah.
And as the crowd emptied from the convention center and we're going up and down, the crowd at our table just continued to grow. There go those guys. To where there was like I'm not going to say a sea, but it was beginning to disrupt. The crowd was spilling out into the street, and people were like taking pictures. And so I don't know if it was the owner or they were like, man, who are you? I'm like, nah, we nobody, man. No, we don't want to hear y'all nobody, man. We know we don't. It was those types of things, man, that would happen, right? Or we would pull up. We went on a tour, and we would pull up to a hotel like 4 or 5 hours early, and there was a line outside of the hotel, right outside of the hotel. We like is there a problem? And we would get a call from the people who are setting up. Mr. Iverson, they got here 3 or 4 hours early just to get in to make sure they had a seat. I'm like, what? It was unreal. Right. And so you're right. If we didn't have each other, it would have been easy to fall into temptation and to let vices and other. But man, we had each other, right? Our rooms are always like right next to each other. Sometimes we shared rooms, and that made it even easier, right? Because we were there about business. We wanted to fly home, get back to the kids, and go knock out another giant the next day, right? And so as we get ready to wrap up, because I could do 4 sessions with Floyd. I mean, there's just so much, man.
So much.
What would you say? Because what I get a sense of from a lot of, especially in these economic times, what would you say? What words of encouragement would you give to the person who hasn't found their niche yet? Right? They're looking for it. Maybe they're an introvert. Maybe they know they have a gift. They know they want to do something extra. They know there's more for them and to them. They just haven't figured it out yet. What would you say to that person?
Yeah. And I think you and I've talked about this before, is this really finding what is that thing that is your strengths. I do a lot of assessments for a lot of my clients, and those assessments are about finding what your strengths are, and developing the strengths and not focus so much on your weaknesses, right? And I think that's what we have to do. We have to stop thinking about what we like or what we think we're good at. And you talked about that before many times. We have to really take an assessment. Sometimes we do and you're familiar with this, and a lot of you guys in the Zoom are familiar with 360 assessments that corporations do to really get different perspectives from other people about what your strengths are. And not you just think what your strengths are and go with that. It's a level of awareness. And the first thing I would say in my profession, what I do, I help executives and my clients create another level of awareness about how they're being perceived. Are you who you think you are based on other people's perceptions? So that awareness piece is the first thing. What am I good at? How do people perceive me? And be vulnerable enough to ask people. And then listen really closely, and then try to figure out. I love assessments. You can take the Cliff Strength Finders assessment. You can take, the Myers-Briggs. Those help you to find out what your strengths are. And don't be afraid to start over, right? I went back and got my master's degree when I was in my 50s. And that was hard to do, but I wanted to, I imagined this vision for myself to have this company that was a real legitimate company that where I could actually offer real benefit to corporate America, and that's the price I had to pay. And I knew that after taking some assessments and after hearing from my cohorts like you saying that you're a pretty good leader and you know leadership pretty well, so that's my strength, that's my superpower. And I leveraged that, Spencer. I went and I pursued that, and I dropped everything. And one of the things that you're going to appreciate that I'm going to ready to say is focus. And I dropped a whole lot of other stuff I was doing. You and I talked about that. I get calls from all types of people to entertain all types of things. And I put the blinders on and I focus on leadership and organizational development. And if you look around, in your sphere of influence and people that you know. I'm talking to the people on the call, and you identify people who are really massively successful. What you'll find that they have got to a level of focus for a long period of time where they become so good at it, and that was their skill set and their superpower before. But if you focus for long term, you will become that subject matter expert, that masterful person. And in fact, it reminds me of the conversation about Warren Buffett. Everybody say he's a genius, but Warren Buffett's been doing what Warren Buffett has been doing for 60 years.
Yeah.
And that's all Warren Buffett does. And that was his gift at 7. At 7, he bought his first piece of stock.
Yeah.
So I had to come to a point where stop trying to do all this stuff. Let me focus.
Yeah.
Let me find what my superpower is, and let me go ahead and cultivate that and develop that and focus right in that space. And that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, listen, guys. Hey, look, if you're getting anything from tonight's session with this amazing mentor of mine, Mr. Floyd Williams Jr., put a 7 in the chat box for me. Put a 7 in the chat box if you're getting absolutely anything from tonight and it's helping you in any kind of way. Again, Floyd has a new book coming out. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'm gonna give you a chance to, yeah, there we go. There we go. Thank you, Danielle. I see you, Faye. I see you, Keith. Thank you, guys. Y'all keep those 7s coming. Tamika, thank you. Tamika Foster is one of our brand new masterclass clients. Thank you, Ken. Advocate for Ken. Congratulations, Ken's daughter. I mean, just
Tiffany.
Oh, there's Tiffany Ivy up there.
Shout out to Michael Childs. Michael Childs
down there in Panama City Beach. I got the bracelet on, all kinds of great stuff. Danielle White. Hey, Danielle, one of our frequent flyers. But thank you, guys. Thank you. Listen, if you're not a masterclass member, I'm going to show you really quickly, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer questions. Let me show you what we do in the masterclass space. Like I said, it's the fastest growing masterclass community in America. And I'm going to show you how you can benefit from the program. And Floyd, obviously, you're familiar with several programs. You know how expensive masterclasses can be. There are masterclasses, guys, that are $20, $30, $40, $50,000 plus, and you're on your own. Let me show you what we do. I'm going to share my screen here. Now, let me go to, I'm going to open this program. Let me stop this. All right, now I'm gonna do it this way. There we go. Okay. All right, this is obviously Floyd and myself. Let me share with you. This is a young lady I follow. Her name is Courtney Sanders. Courtney has a package. I think Courtney is exceptional at what she does, but Courtney has one package. She has several packages, but her first package is $3,300 and you only get 3 weeks, and it's not really even personal. She has a team now that does the training. There's a young man, Dan. Dan has a training. It's a 3-day experience, Floyd. He calls it personal development. Here's what you get for 3 days. You get a chance to have dinner with him in Vancouver. You have to pick your own way. He'll pick you up in a limousine. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you hear one speaker each. That one package for 3 days is $10,000. Wow. $10,000. Guys, personal development can get extremely expensive. I didn't want my package and program to be that. I wanted to be accessible. I wanted it to be affordable, but no less impactful in terms of your life. So here's what we did. This is the Worthy of Me. I had the website revamped and redesigned. Elevate your life to new heights as our masterclass empowers you to rewrite your reality, enabling you to embrace and actualize your fullest potential. Right? Many of the concepts that Floyd and I have talked about today are embodied in the masterclass. It's helping you to become a better you. You've seen some of the people that I've worked with over the years. I was the second in charge of a $4 billion hedge fund. I've gotten ideas patented. We speak all over the world. I'm an author. Floyd and I have co-authored a book together. And so in this space, there are 20 online modules. Let me give you an idea of some of the modules. Here's one called Hedge Fund Secrets. If you're looking to earn money, if you're looking to take your idea from concept to reality and then attempt to get partnered with individuals who can help you either from an investment standpoint or an equity partner, that's the module you want to listen to. Increase your influence to increase your bank account. That's a John Maxwell training. Understanding, I know you love this one. This is talking about the hierarchy of influence, right? Yes. Some people, you can't You can't grow on your job. You can't grow your business because you don't understand more about where you are from an influence standpoint. We're going to talk about it in that specific module. How to develop a remarkable personal brand. Everything you do says something about you. So social media, the way you dress. Remember, I shared with you earlier, every time I saw Floyd Williams, he was dapper, custom slacks, custom jacket, nice shirt. That was his personal brand. So that's why one of the many reasons why people gravitated towards him. His personal brand spoke volumes. We're going to talk about that in that module. How to start a business one-on-one. I began to do the master class, and I had people say, Mr. Iverson, I love what I'm hearing, but I've never started a business before. No problem. I show you how to incorporate your business without having to get an attorney and spend $5,000, $10,000. And I show you how to do that using the resources in all 50 states. How to speak with confidence. This is where Mr. Ken Everett, one of the reasons why he got involved in the masterclass, has a daughter in the 7th grade who is phenomenal. She speaks several languages. We did a discovery call with them on a Saturday. She's a member of the Jack and Jill's organization, and her parents, Ken and his wife, they're fantastic. They listen. I gave them some pointers. She won first place the next day in that public speaking contest. And one of the modules I encourage them to listen to is this one. It's the fear called glossophobia. That is the fear of public speaking. It is greater than the fear of death. And the sooner we can get our children, the sooner you can become a more confident public speaker, the more money you can make. Goal setting like a millionaire, the 7 momentum killers of your life, building through the storms. Oh my gosh, what do you do when life happens, when people die in your life, when you lose your job, when you get a divorce? What happens? How do you just give up? We talk about it in that module. My son, Brandon, again, like I said, Jordan Williams is his brother. Brandon did a module on artificial intelligence. That's included as a bonus. If you don't understand where we are from the artificial intelligence standpoint, you might get replaced. So please, that module is absolutely golden. And then finally, this series almost went viral last year. It was called the 7 Spiritual Principles for Success. Over 6 hours of content on gratitude, stewardship, forgiveness, and others, guys, helping us understand the connection or the nexus between biblical principles and worldly success. Guys, this should cost over $60,000, but it does not. It's $29.97 one time for lifetime access. I do live coaching every Thursday at 7:30. And then in this community, you not only network with other masterclass clients, but I am able to introduce you to my $1 billion network. There are people on this Zoom today who have experienced that, who have been connected to partners, who have been connected to investors. I was on the phone about an hour before the call started with a buddy of mine. He was on his private jet. He told me to come fishing at his 5,000 acre estate. He has a 25,000 square foot guest house. His property, because he has little houses around it, was so big, he built a locomotive steam engine train that goes around the whole property, dropping guests off at their houses. Crazy. He's one of my partners. I told him, I said, listen, from time to time, I will have masterclass clients who are looking for investors. Spencer, say less, send it my way. Guys, all of that value for $29.97 one time for lifetime access. If you want to learn more, guys, screenshot this. If you're not a member of Worthy of Millions, the masterclass, the community, screenshot this, get in contact with me, send me a text. That is my real phone number. Text me, send me a text saying worthy. And I'll know that you would love to have a discovery call where I can tell you more. I can hear more about what it is you're trying to do, see if it's a good fit. Okay, Floyd, if you don't mind, I know that you have been exposed to a number of personal development projects, programs, and courses. Would you say that's a fair price for what it is that we do?
Oh, you're basically giving away for free. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that because he just asked me that, because I'm in this space. Yeah, I was looking at a program to help me with my course development, and it was like $30,000, and with no apology, that's what they were asking for. So yeah, it's very reasonable. Sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to make an adjustment at some point soon, because I know that I'm basically giving it away. But again, it's a benefit to me, Floyd, because I can get a lot of testimonials and being impacted by the program, but I can't continue at this price, 20 different online modules. So guys, take advantage of that. Now, with that being said, I want to hear you. We want to hear your question. We have about 15 minutes. Floyd has another engagement. Again, this man is sought after all over the world. So there's another engagement at 9 o'clock. What questions might you have? I want to hear, we want to hear your voice. So I want to unmute you guys. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. So raise your hand and I'll identify you if you have a question, right? Obviously we didn't go over everything. Me and this man could do this for 12 hours straight without even catching our breath, right? So what questions might any of you have? Raise your hand. Please take advantage of having, the magnificent Floyd Williams on the line with us today. What questions might you have while you have his attention? Anybody have a question? If you'll just raise your hand, or I have given everybody permission to.
I see a couple people that I want to shout out to. Elisa McKelvey. Elisa, good seeing you. She's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And I'm glad she's on this call. This information it can be very valuable to you, Lisa. So you might want to take advantage of this offer that my partner is sharing with you guys tonight.
Lisa is a masterclass member. She is.
Of course you are.
Hey. How you doing? It's so good to see you.
You too. I should have known you were a member already.
Yeah, I got to get with the best of the best, and I'm gonna get with you next.
Absolutely.
Elisa, do you have a question, or I tell you what, Elisa, would you love to? I would love for you to share just a little bit, real quickly, about your experience with the masterclasses. Others are maybe having a question, maybe that you want to ask. And if you're having a problem, if you have a question, and somehow I'm not allowing you to open, just put in the chat. Now I can maybe catch it that way. But Elisa, if you don't mind just sharing what your experience has been with the, okay, hold on. There you go. You should be able to unmute now, Elisa.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Mm-hmm. Okay, hey everyone, my name is Elisa. I am so happy that I signed up for this class. And when I signed up, I was kind of desperate, looking for leadership, looking for mentorship, because I'm trying to increase my own real estate business and increase my own business. And I just, I'm confused about which direction to go in. And I want to be that leader that my agents need me to be. So taking this class has had me to step out on leading monthly meetings I was not doing. And so I'm learning how to host and how to host and what to say at monthly meetings. And I'm learning topics that I can give my agent in order to host those meetings. So it's really giving me a good direction to head in, and it's really helping me to grow. And so I just can't wait till I get to that next level. And I'm so glad I'm in this class, and I'm going to follow Spencer all the way, even if I, get 100 different real estate agencies.
Awesome.
But I'm going to stay right here. Maybe one day I'll be on the platform and he'll say, hey, she started with me. But yeah, it's really helped me develop better.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, I got Ken Averett on the call. Ken, you should be able to unmute your line now. Ken, go ahead.
Thank you, brother. I really, oh my God, I just really enjoyed this session tonight. I mean, it was like Rhema to me. I mean, true Rhema to me. Nice. And especially, I mentioned to you when we first talked, I'm very much interested in becoming a coach, also executive coach, and moving in that to here. That's where you Floyd. It's funny because about a month ago, I'm telling my wife, I think I need to go back to school and get I've got a master's, get another master's in organizational psychology, right? So I want to understand how to help these people think, right? So I just had a quick question as it relates to that. You mentioned some resources that and the institute earlier where you got your certification. Could you just give me just a few nuggets on how to follow in those steps? Yeah.
So I was referring to the ICF certification, International Coaching Federation. That's the highest certification that you can get for coaching, and it's respected by corporate America. Because I wanted that. I wanted corporate America to be able to contract me and hire me And the only way to do that is to have those credentials that they honor and they respect. That program you can actually get that program through different programs. It's a long-term program. It's going to take you about 6 months at minimum to do a program like that. And then you have to set for exam, just like Spencer, you have to set for the, for what is it, the bar?
Bar exam.
I think if I remember, it's 4 to 6 hours.
Okay.
But you can go to ICF, go to their website, International Course Federation.com, and then you can see what the criteria, what all the things that you have to do. You can find the organizations that will allow you to take the courses. I took it through the University of Lewis University, and I chose Lewis University because they're one of the top 12 universities in the nation that offer organizational development and leadership. So I wanted the best. I didn't want anybody to say, well, your credentials are not up to par. I wanted the best. But you can go to universities, or you can go through programs that are not university driven that will allow you to get those courses done. And then you have to go through a certain amount of hours of paid coaching. And you can actually you can do that through friends and relatives before until you get documented. And they'll take that. They'll count those hours of paid coaching as well.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And Ken, what I can do, with Floyd's permission, Ken, I can connect the two of you, because there's so much more I know that Floyd knows about this space, about the formal levels of coaching, like being a part of the ICF. I think he'd be a great point of contact. Floyd, when I was speaking with Ken and his beautiful family, he shared that with me. That was something he was thinking about. He has a niche that he's really good at, and he's been thinking about developing an online coaching program himself. And so, Ken, let me connect you and Floyd Williams offline, and and you guys can really share, in detail when Floyd has more time and you have more time to help you really get started on your journey down the right path. Okay.
I'll be glad to do that.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Guys, anybody else? We got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions before Floyd has to get to his 9 o'clock. Floyd, is that okay?
Yeah, no, we're fine. Let's go. We go all the way to 9. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else, guys? Deidre Frazier, I know you out there, and and Floyd, I'm dating myself, but Deidre is a masterclass client. She is now a psychologist in Texas, psychiatrist in Texas, and she was my college Bible class. Right?
Wow.
She was in my college Bible class, and so
yeah,
Deidre,
I see Danielle says she can't unmute. Spencer.
Oh, Danielle, okay, hold on, Danielle, I'll get you. I got you, Danielle. Danielle, go ahead and try now.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you, Floyd, for your time tonight. I really appreciated that. I was similar to you, and I went back to school. I worked for Vanguard at the time, and it was suggested at 42 that I go back and get my master's. So I have my master's in organizational and strategic leadership.
Oh, awesome.
And it served me well. Yes, sir. I went to Newman University here in Pennsylvania, and it served me well, and it still continues to serve me well. And now recently I obtained my insurance license to be able to sell life, health, and do some financial planning, estate planning, and things like that. And so what I wanted to say is, I don't know who on here is not Worthy of Millions member, but if you're not, you should seriously consider it, because I can tell you from my personal experience, I've only been in the class not quite a year, I don't think, right, Spencer? I think in the fall, or maybe just a year. But anyway, I can tell you that I've set up my own business. I decided to go out on my own, and from the trainings that we have in the back, not only through the speech and what am I trying to say about the business? Anyway, I set up my own business. I sent Spencer a text, and I was like, I did it. And I got my license. I set up my business. I do bookkeeping, financial planning, estate planning, like those kind of things. And Spencer can testify to this, and I'm being very vulnerable in this space. But when he called me, because I knew him through the travel industry, just very briefly, which I'm no longer a part of. When he called me, I was extremely broken, extremely vulnerable. And I think that Spencer can tell by my voice that I'm better. I'm in a better space. And I'm more confident. I can walk into a room and hold my head high again, where for a while, due to some business things that went wrong, family things that went wrong, I just kind of put my head down. And that's just not me. It's not my spirit. So what I'm trying to say is that this program has absolutely changed me. It took me out of a very extreme, dark place and has put me into a more positive space so that I can be that role model for my children. I have two very wonderful young men. My oldest is 22. My youngest is going to be 18 in a month. And, they lost their mom for a while. And because of Worthy of Millions, they're getting their mom back.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. I remember our very first phone call, and I could hear it in your voice, and you sound amazing. I'm watching you on social media, and I'm like, is that Danielle in front of the room? Like, what? I'm super proud of you. And Danielle is on every call. She comments on every message. So Danielle, thank you. I'm proud of you. And I know that God has so much more in store for you. So you just keep going, right? But thank you for sharing that with us on tonight.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hey guys, anybody else? We got a quick second. Let me see. And again, if I'm not able to unmute you, just let me know via the chat and I will unmute you. Anybody else have a question or a comment before we let Floyd go and slay some more giants tonight? Oh, there's Deidre. Okay. Deidre, you want to say hi?
Hey, hello. Just so grateful to be here tonight. Just like I'm grateful to be at all of the classes. I just kind of echo what Danielle said. And I'm just listening to you, Danielle. I'm rooting for you. I'm proud of you. I don't know you, but I can just kind of hear your passion. I hope that you continue to do well. I just like Danielle, I have found a lot of value in this class as well. I decided to, step into this space after kind of an unexpected health diagnosis. And it kind of led me to kind of consider what's my next step. I am a business owner. I have been doing well, but I know that there's like more. And so whenever I had to like stop to kind of take care of my health, it allowed me some time and space to read, as you mentioned, Floyd, to just like really kind of reevaluate kind of where I was going, and kind of listening to you talking about going back, getting your certifications, becoming like an expert in a particular like niche area. I really appreciate that, because I feel like even though I've been doing well, just like you were doing well in like the other work that you were doing before, but you knew that there was something else. Yeah. There's something else. And so I just appreciate listening to your journey and kind of how you transition to where you are, because I feel like there's something else like burning in me, and it's like I'm about to explode if I don't get it out. It's like, and so like being able to like be a part of these classes is kind of helping me to really kind of navigate that and have confidence in like going to the next level. So thank you so much for your wisdom tonight, and thank you, Spencer, for allowing us to have access to this space.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And again, Deidre, just hearing her voice takes me back to Floyd West End in that back room and that other building. And she's the same person. She would always be the one with a comment, and to see her success, but even to know her story of what she's doing to overcome, given some of the things she's been battling, has an amazing husband and family there. And so, Deidre, thank you. Continued success. And I know what that feels like, Floyd. You know what it feels like. What Floyd and I were able to experience is there's levels to this stuff, right? Yeah. When Floyd was introduced to my life, when I thought it was cool making 4 figures a month, until I saw somebody making, like Floyd, making 5 figures a month. And then Floyd, we were pretty happy making 5 figures a month until we got with some cats who showed us how to make 6 figures a month. and we were
Right.
making 6 figures a month. Now I can't speak for Floyd, but I'm not at 7 figures a month. But on my vision board, I'm not far off, right? I mean, I know Floyd as well. So Deidre, there's levels to this. So as soon as you never plateau, right? And so that's what I love about personal development, right, Floyd? You never graduate from personal self-development, right, Floyd?
No, that's right. You always have to keep recreating yourself because you have to stay marketable in the marketplace. I mean, because things change. We got all this technology, AI, and you got to keep up with all the changes in the marketplace, or you become a dinosaur and you become extinct. That's why I went back to retool myself, right? So I applaud you, Deidre, for wanting to continue to for having that growth mindset and continue to develop yourself and become more valuable and marketable in this space we call this corporate arena and business arena that we work in.
Hey guys, let's look. Can we give one more time? Can we put a bunch of sevens in the chat box? That's our way to applaud. Thanking Floyd for his time. I know he has a really hard stop coming up. Floyd, I love you, man. Again, thank you for,
sure.
Man, we've been through Jesus, man.
Bye.
Everything
Yeah.
together. And
Yeah.
I always privately and now publicly thank you for you pouring into my life. I am the man I am today in large part because you saw something in me that nobody else saw, and you took the time to mentor and to coach me. And I will forever be grateful and salute you for that, brother. So thank you. And again, I know you got a book coming out and some other materials. When those come out, I want you to let me know. I want to have you back on the platform so you can talk about the book and how it can bless other people. Because real quickly, you got 2 minutes. Floyd, talk about your book is we talk about introverts, right? Can you give a quick highlight about that real quick?
Yeah, no problem. The book is called The Inside Out Leader. It's about introvert, and a lot of people don't understand the power of what that really means. I talk about having an introvert orientation. It's all about people who actually have an introspective approach to really seeing the world and understanding things. They go inside, and you guys probably are saying, "Yes, that's me. That's me." They think internally about what's going on, and they process things internally, and they don't need a lot of outside people to validate them. And that's me. I'm an introvert, but some of the most successful people have been introverts. Some of my leaders that I coach, who are executives, vice presidents, even C-suite executives, are introverts, and they have some unique superpowers that I talk about in the book. And even if you're not an introvert, you can appreciate this book because you'll understand how introverts think and how to work with them. Spencer and I worked well together. I was an introvert; he's an extrovert, and it's a good marriage. It worked. That we completed each other as far as business, the business acumen that we brought together as a team. And so that's going to be a good book. It's going to be probably out in July, and then I've got a course. We've been talking about courses called moving from subject matter expert to people leader. So if you're that person who is a subject matter expert in your job, in your career, and you've been doing something so well that that your company has identified you as someone who can come out of being the subject matter expert and start managing people and leading people, how do you make that transition? That's one of the number one things that I help leaders do, make that transition. So those are two products.
Those are great. I know they're going to be a great fit and a great complement to my masterclass clients. So guys, as soon as he gets those further developed and has the website, landing page, all that kind of stuff, whenever he's ready, Floyd, just let me know. We'll bring you back on. You can do a deep dive, guys. He'll autograph some books for you, all kinds of great stuff. I'm speaking on his behalf. I know you will.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So again, Floyd, thank you so much, brother. Have a great meeting at 9:00. Masterclass clients, those who are visiting with us on tonight, thank you for joining us. Clients, I'll see you guys again next Thursday at 7:30. In the meantime, you have my number if you need to reach out to me personally. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.